Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Whether your water is supplied by a public municipality or a private well, for residential or commercial use, Purified Water Services LLC has the solutions to provide you with simply clean water. We offer a complete line of professional water filtration equipment and accessories. Soft water makes a difference you can see and feel. Water heater and appliances last longer with less maintenance. Iron and H2S filters eliminate iron stains and offensive rotten egg odors and protects your water softener equipment from iron fouling. No matter what your problem is, Purified Water Services LLC has a solution. Contact Kenny Williams at 352-446-2709. All right, guys, welcome back to another edition of the Goblay Show. I'm Billy Goble, and today we have a special guest. He is the voice of the Raiders now, South Sumter Raiders, that is, and he is on the WSSH radio. It's the app for our team. I'll just say that. I always get tongue-tied when I try to say it. But great guy, used to coach with us. A heck of a teacher at the middle school. And without further ado, we have Mr. Marc Johnson. Marc, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, Billy. I appreciate you having me. You must be running out of people whenever my phone rang about this. I was like, uh-oh.
No.
Let's get to the bottom.
No.
Just kidding.
I wanted to have you on. We had talked before. I wanted to have you on because you are a vital piece of our team. You've always had the radio like voice, no matter what you did, and a lot of people really enjoy you guys. Painting the picture per se. For our games. Now, during home games, you're live on the mic at the game, but everybody loves you as an announcer, and it's just not the same on a Thursday or Tuesday night without Marc Johnson at the helm. So we appreciate you.
Well, it's a lot of time, but it's an honor to do it too. It's a lot of fun. I was when Ty first called his first year coaching. He called and asked if I would do it, and we had got the radio thing going, and then switched to the app WSSH, and that was our baby. So it was a tough decision to leave Mike and John because we have a blast doing it. So it was a tough decision, but I'm glad I did it. I know the first year I did it, I guess there were some people that weren't so happy with it. I heard comments like he needs to lay off the Mountain Dew up there. As I was getting excited. So I don't know if everybody likes me, but maybe they're used to it now after 7 or 8 years.
Yeah. Well, there's an old saying, you can't please everybody. And that's absolutely true. And you don't need to spend all your time trying to do that. Just keep the faithful Raider fans that have been there through the hard times and the good times as well, and that's all that matters.
That's it.
So let's go back. I always go back with our guests, and let's go back to. I mean, how did this whole dilemma go? I mean, this whole life start. How did are you from here originally, or were you? I mean, obviously you're here from originally, like. You didn't move in from anywhere?
No, born and raised. Well, born in Leesburg.
Everybody else was too. I was too.
Yeah.
The only hospital in the
that's it.
Tri-County area.
Went to Bushnell Elementary, South Sumter Middle, South Sumter High. And old Sumter County boy. I love it, though. Yeah.
When did you fall in love with sports? Like at an early age, obviously?
Yeah. Obviously not. Playing. Boys love playing the baseball and football, whatever. And my Uncle Mike was a big time. He graduated from Florida State Law School. So I kind of became a Seminole fan through him. But my papa and I would always listen to the Bucs games in his truck on Sunday afternoons out on the ranch. And This is back in the not so glory days,
right? Creamsicle days.
It was horrible, but I loved it. So,
yeah.
And I mean, anything Florida State I watch now, it would be the chess team. If there's nothing else on, I'm going to watch it. But I love after we finish this today, it's going to be NFL football days. I don't know when it started, as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, baseball, the Marlins. Not a huge basketball fan. Whenever I do watch this Magic.
Yeah, I do love the Magic. Yeah. It's just hard right now because it's so. It's hard to explain, but I got out when it was like I haven't really watched. I've kept up with it. I've kind of secretly kept up with it, but I wouldn't tell people that I watched basketball for the last 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, I just never was. Now I love the NCAA tournament.
That's a different. It's a whole nother dance. Yeah. Literally, it's a whole nother ball game, and that's it means more.
Yeah.
These teams come out of nowhere, and they want to represent, and then that might be the only shot they get for.
Right.
It's like the Olympics. You got somebody from like New Ghana going to show up to a race against, the America, Canada, Japan, all the big dogs, and it's that underdog story. You love it.
Look at FAU last year, my alma mater.
Yeah.
What a run they had. And that was a lot of fun.
That was a great run.
I was keeping up with me and Ricky Velasquez and Your Highness.
Your Highness, yeah. He came on.
Our FAU alma mater folks. So, yeah, that was a good run. That was a lot of fun.
Did you so you said you played baseball?
Little League.
Was that in Bushville?
Yep. Big Gear was my major. That was, I think there was minors and majors back then, but Steve Davis was our coach, and my dad actually coached a year with him. Didn't play I played my sophomore year in high school.
Yeah.
Didn't play any other years up there. So it kind of just fell out of the whole baseball. I still love watching the Marlins and everything, but.
So what about football? You played middle school football?
I played both years in middle school.
Who was your coach in middle school?
Greg McMullen.
Okay.
Cool Mac.
I didn't know he coached.
Yeah, Cool Mac was the coach of 7th and 8th grade year.
Okay.
And I still see him. It was so funny. I'll see him out in public.
Yeah.
And I guess I was always like pulling him, like, put me in, coach, put me in. And he'll see me out in public and still do that. He's a good guy. He's a lot of fun to be around. My high school only played my senior year.
Gotcha.
It was a blast. It was a good year to play.
Yeah.
Went to state semifinals, not because of me, but it was still, being a part of that brotherhood.
Yeah.
Something I always look back on and be proud of.
And you played with Boo.
Yeah, we graduated together.
Yeah.
Boo, Lester, Tony Gavin, Craig Richardson. We had a good class.
Yeah.
Once again, not because of me, but.
What position did you play?
I punted, but position-wise, whenever we practiced, receiver and defensive back.
Gotcha.
I didn't play mop-up duty, crackback on, whenever the game was in hand.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, we weren't – if we had to look for a score, Coach Sherman wasn't like, let's get Johnson in there and it'll help us now.
We'll run right 24 with Johnson.
Yeah, no chance.
No, but don't sell yourself short on that, because a lot of – I hope if there's any our players or future players listening or watching, the scout team, the second defense, third guys, JV, middle school guys that aren't playing, that are there every day, this is just as important.
Absolutely.
So don't think of it. I mean, I know it's easy to say, you kind of write yourself off. You're like, well, I just kind of mopped up, but people don't realize how important that is.
Yeah, every person on the team is going to play a part somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah. Maybe not on Friday nights, but it was still a lot of fun, though.
Right.
I've traded it for anything. Of course, my highlight was a low light, the punt heard around the world in South Lake. We were playing in a nasty storm that night. And, I mean, the wind was blowing ridiculous. And we had a pretty solid team, so we were supposed to beat them. It was their homecoming. And I was punting and got the snap. There was a guy in my face, kind of like Friday night with Ty's punt got blocked. he had somebody in his face about the time he was getting the ball on that second punt the other night. Anyway, I catch the ball, and I mean, there's a dude right there. So I got it off as fast as I could and leaned back, and the punt went nearly straight up. And it went forward a few yards, but then took a bounce backwards. None of us covered it, so they picked it up, ran it in for a touchdown, and we lost by a point.
Oh, my God.
Yes. Coach Heilman never lets me forget about that. Just jokingly. But
Coach Heilman's he's just ruthless. I'm kidding. He'll always bring up stuff like that. No, hey, man, that's just how it goes sometimes. I mean, like with Ty, last Friday night, Ty had 2 punts that, I mean, one got blocked.
Yeah.
And the other one was...
He dropped the other one. But,
the other one.
He was out there a long time, though. He might have had wet hands.
Yeah. Signs starting to fall again. So, anyways, going back to what you said about the mop-up deal, kind of reminds me of Bob Euchre, how he said at one time. He said, I knew it was late and we were up big when they put me in and all the other guys had street clothes on.
That's about right.
You look around and what are y'all doing? Everybody's ready to go home,
You got to love Bob Euchre.
He's the best.
I got to have lunch with him one day whenever I worked for the Marlins.
Oh, that's awesome.
They had a pregame meal for us.
Mm-hmm.
So, before one of the games, I just, would it be all right if I sat down here? And he was the, I don't know if he still is, but the radio broadcaster for the Milwaukee Brewers.
He is.
And what a guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a bit outside.
Just a bit outside. He's definitely one of those guys on my bucket list. I would love to meet.
Yeah.
So, having said that about high school and football, what was your plans for getting out of school? What were you going to do with your life? Did you have any ambition to be anything, or
not that I can? I know after I graduated, I knew that I wasn't ready to go straight into college.
Right.
Just kind of undecided on really where my future was going to take me. So. I remember talking to a recruiter for the Army, and my cousin Preston and I went and did the ASVAB, our physical and all that stuff. And so I decided, since I know I don't want to go directly to college, they had a 2-year enlistment back then, $20,000 college money. I was like, man, let me give this a shot. And so that's kind of what led me to the military, and ended up being, it was a good move, grew up a lot. Got to see a little bit of not the world, never left the States, but at least some areas I've never visited before. And like I said, I got lots of college money, and probably had they not stationed me in Fort Lewis, Washington, where it rains 80-90% of the time. It's not raining, it's snowing.
Right.
And their 2.5-3 weeks of summer was beautiful, but
2.5 weeks.
It was bad. I'm sure it's longer than that, but had I not been stationed there, I probably would have stayed in.
Yeah.
So just
makes it miserable when you're in there all the time.
Oh my gosh, doing push-ups and sit-ups in the mud every morning. It's like you're being punished, but it's just a regular day.
Yeah, they're not mad at you, but they are.
Yeah.
That weather up there is crazy. It's just.
I don't know how people deal with it.
I don't know how many
people love it.
Yeah, I don't know how people live up in there.
Oof.
It's just that the weatherman comes on and says, "Well, there's a chance of sun today." It's one of those deals where, golly, that's crazy. So, tell me a little bit about the Army. What was your experience like in the Army? I know you said 2 years. What? Give me some highs and lows. What's something you could? Because I don't know too much about the Army. My grandfather and my uncle and. I think my other grandfather was in the Army, and but my brother's in the Air Force. Totally two different sides of the coin, per se. Everybody else says, but
being a 2-year enlistment, they don't give you a lot of. I scored well in the ASVAB, but I knew I only wanted to try 2 years. They pretty much said, "Do you want to walk everywhere or ride everywhere?" And I was either going to be infantry or artillery. They're not going to train you to be some big time job if you're only staying in for 2 years. So.
Right.
I was like, well, of course I want to ride everywhere. I don't feel like walking everywhere.
Yeah.
So I ended up self-propelled field artillery. It's like pretty much big rifles, except for having 97-pound bullets.
Oh, wow.
So it was, like I said, the low was the weather. we used to train in Yakima, Washington all the time, and went to NTC down in California. But I guess one of the highs, I don't have any battle stories. We weren't sent to war or anything like that. The brotherhoods, the friendships you form, the guys I went through basic with, I still talk to a couple of them.
Yeah.
I have them on social media and stuff. And one of them's actually out in San Diego. So when Boo was playing for the Chargers, and I went out there every year, I looked him up, and we got together. I know that we were in Yakima one time, and we were expecting Op 4, which you pretty much playing war games. It's like advanced laser tag.
Right.
And we were expecting them one night, and I was standing outside of my gun. Once again, there was a storm coming, and we had these like huge nets over the gun and the ammo carrier. Mm-hmm. So I was standing out there with the NVGs, and I just happened to see a little light. It's like midnight for a split second. So I ran to the gun. I was like, "Get ready for blackjack." That was what if somebody was coming, he called blackjack, and all the guns would send soldiers down with their rifles.
Right.
So I told my chief, I was like, "Get ready for blackjack. I just saw something out there." And sure enough, about 10 minutes later, I see about 20 silhouettes so I called blackjack, and we, started shooting the blanks at them like the laser tag stuff. So the platoon sergeant was like, who spotted them? My chief was like, Eagle Eyes Johnson. And I ended up getting a 3-day pass for that. So and went golfing. That was nice.
Wow, that's awesome. In the rain?
Probably. It was bad.
Wow.
But yeah, no glory war stories, thank goodness.
Yeah. I mean that's, it's either the spoils of war, or you got peacetime or whatever you're going to be doing, but you're always happy to be on the bright side of the spectrum.
There was one weekend we were on lockdown to possibly get sent to Korea. There was something going on between North and South Korea. This is 96, 97.
Yeah.
So we weren't allowed to leave our barracks for a full weekend because something was getting dicey over there.
Oh, wow.
But we never went. That was as close as we got being activated.
How far away was that from Seattle?
About 40 miles or so south. It's just south of Tacoma by a couple miles.
On the coast, or?
It's not too far away.
Yeah.
I didn't go to the coast up there too much. We used to go to Seattle almost every Thursday night, though.
Gotcha.
They had a teen club up there called Deviate. Seattle, that's a different city right there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I don't remember making it to the coast. I know that they call it the Tacoma aroma.
Yeah.
Up there, Puget Sound. It stinks.
Oh,
it stinks some kind of fierce up there. But still, like I said, the 2 years I was in, it was a good time.
What causes the stink?
I have no idea. What is there?
Wow, some funky stuff going on.
The Tacoma aroma.
Wow. I mean, it's fitting.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what it is. I'll have to look that up, Somebody may have told me in the past, but I don't remember.
It's like sometimes you'll be out there practice and you get a good whiff of that lift station.
That's exactly what it smells like.
Oh, my gosh.
That lift station itself, it's been like that since I can remember, too. I think when we were in school.
Oh, that's horrible.
I mean, one person washes their hands on a Friday night game, and that's it. It's over. It's flooding and everything else.
You're smelling rotten eggs for the next 3 hours.
That's it.
Wow.
Somebody washed their hands. Great. Here we go.
That's all backed up now.
Who's that? I think it's the city, isn't it?
It is the city, yeah. It's weird because there's another one behind the concession booth, behind the baseball field. And it's like, you're getting a thing of cheese fries.
Yeah, and like
I made some horrible decisions.
And those burgers smell like crap.
They go to order and they're like, actually, I'm going to let me get a Gatorade.
Yeah, that's about right.
It just reminded me to
4
hydrate.
burgers, 3 orders of fries, some nacho. I'll just take a water. And a nose plug if you've got one.
and some Febreze. We just had our game there Saturday, and we tried to get our kids away from the noise and stuff. So we took them over there to where the soccer kids practice by the lift station.
Right.
The kids are going, oh! I'm like, guys, come on now. And then it hit me, and I'm like, oh.
It might not have been a lift station.
Well, we were asking if they, then they were all like, oh my God. I was like, guys, it's the lift station. It's 12 feet away. So just stay down, upwind or downwind or whatever it is. Anyways, so, Army, you get out. Then what'd you do?
I came back home. I remember the first time I made it back, I drove all the way back from Seattle. 3.5 days with my ex-stepmother was in the car with me. That was a long ride.
Oh, I bet.
She wanted to. You remember that stupid song, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone by Paula Cole?
Yeah.
Which is not a horrible song.
No, it's not.
But she wanted to hear it probably like 900 times. And she's singing, and I'm like thinking of jumping out of the car and like 10 miles down. I'm like, so I can despise that song anyway. I remember crossing into the Sumter County line on 75, and I was almost tearing up like I'm home, thank God.
Yeah.
And it was a Friday night playoff football game going on.
Oh, okay.
And so I didn't even go home to see my Nana and Papa, and my dad was actually at the game, so we went straight to the game.
What game was that? Do you remember?
I can't remember because
What year was it?
It would have been 97.
97? Okay.
The 97 playoffs, because my enlistment date ended like January of 98, but I had enough leave saved up.
Gotcha.
That I took it
You're
early.
Like, I'm out.
That's it.
Funny story about you talking about the state line, but state lines too, but the county line. When you come in on 75, my dad, every time we go on a road trip, he's driving, he'd see Sumter County, he'd blow the horn. He's like, we're home, baby. Yeah. And so I started doing that just because, just to do it. And it scared everybody in the car.
They're all passed out, slam on the brakes.
There's a semi in front of us, and he's like, turn signal.
From this guy.
He's like, the nerve of this guy right here is blowing the horn at me. But I'm like, no, it's like there's an old commercial where the guy's got a baby in the house sleeping, and he's a big like Broncos fan or whatever, and he's got to be quiet. He's watching it on his phone. He's like, because the baby's sleeping, and then finally he goes outside and he just lays on the horn and goes, "Barbara, we won!" And the neighbors walk by. She's like looking, who cares? He's like, "Barbara."
Well, I remember, as older teenagers, a lot of people are like, God, I can't wait to get out of this county. I was my Nana and Papa drove me to the airport whenever I was home from basic training, but leaving to go to Fort Lewis. Mm-hmm. And I'm on that plane for maybe about 15 seconds before I'm like, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah.
So you remember you used to have the old school CD players.
Oh yeah.
So I had one. I had like 80s greatest hits or some 80s CD, and so I'm sitting on this plane getting ready to take off. It's a true story, by the way. Looking out the window, sitting there contemplating my life decisions. Like, gosh, I'd only been gone from Sumter for a few hours at this point, and I'm like, God, I've already missed home.
Yeah.
And that song "All by Myself" came on this CD, and I'm like, oh my Lord. It was a movie moment.
You had a soundtrack going on there.
Yeah.
Wow. It's like a Adam Sandler movie. The perfect. He has every song that he puts on his movies is perfect. I don't know if it's him or whoever he hired to do it. They are spot on, because you can listen to a song and exactly like Tuesday's Gone by Leonard Skinner. Every time I hear that, I think of Happy Gilmore. No. You know what I mean? It's like, it goes back to these songs, and
he's got all the same guys that help him too. So it might be the same guy.
It's probably the same guy.
I love that about him.
Oh yeah, you got to keep it in your circle of friends or whatever, your inner circle.
Yeah.
Lindsay Vanderwall Photography offers natural light photography for any occasion. With over 10 years of experience in the industry, we promise you professionalism and quality photography always. Affordable pricing for weddings, sports, family, and senior sessions. Contact today to book.
So when you're on that plane, what were you thinking? Besides, I want to go home.
Yeah, it was just horrible.
Yeah.
Flew into SeaTac, excuse me, Seattle, Tacoma. Never seen snow in my life.
Oh, wow.
And flew into a blizzard. The snow in Seattle, though, is different than your beautiful powdery mountain snow that people ski in. It's like a slushy.
Yeah. Not making snowman in that.
No, not at all. But yeah, I mean, once I got there and got my feet wet, so to speak.
No pun intended.
Exactly. Then it was fine.
Yeah. So you did your experience, the Army experience. You came home, and then did you have any ambition to because you said 2 years in the Army? Did you take any classes there, or was just
no? And that's one of the things that they kind of hooked me on.
Yeah.
Well, two things that really hooked me whenever I decided to finally go in the Army. One, they said, yeah, you can take college while you're in. Well, the small print there is if you're not training in the field.
Yeah.
Well, we were always training, so that didn't really happen. The other one was, oh, yeah, we'll try to get you, because I was like, I'd like to be stationed somewhere near Florida so I can come home.
Yeah.
They sent me to Fort Lewis, Washington, as far as they possibly could in the continental United States.
Yeah.
But when I got out, I jumped right into CFCC, whatever, what is it called now, Central Florida College.
Yeah.
Jumped into CFCC. I was actually a theater major up there. I was always loved performing. I liked being on stage, but I also started playing music about this time. My dad was in a band for 30 plus years. I grew up around it every Sunday night.
That's
practicing with is my dad, Wayne Jones, Jessica Kelly's dad, and a couple other guys, Jim and Ernie. I grew up around it, loved music, and I actually started playing some at this time. You remember Jimmy Tompkins?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Me and Jimmy started kind of jamming together. And Jeremy Cole, we brought him in to play bass, and then Chris Huddleston, which is one of my closest friends now. I love Chris. We got us a little band going and played weddings and stuff, and I really fell in love with the whole music thing.
Yeah.
And after 9/11 happened, Jimmy got activated in the National Guard, so we ended up kind of moving stuff around. Jeremy Cole went to play baseball, so we found Jimmy actually slid to bass, and we got a new lead guitarist, Paul Crawford, who's one of my best friends to this day, and then we had a drummer. I was the drummer and the lead singer.
Oh.
So we finally got a drummer to where I could like
Phil Collins.
That's it. So we finally got a drummer too, and then we started writing. Recorded an album. Mm-hmm. Actually recorded 2 albums, but the first one was like all covers and stuff like that to send to try to get wedding gigs. The wedding singer. But that was my true passion.
Yeah.
We really wanted to make. I loved it. We played out all the time, and
what was the band called? I remember you guys playing at a Halloween party. You had a van.
Yeah, Chris Huddleston's granddad's band.
I think it was at the Claytons. At Dale and Andy had a Halloween party.
Yeah, and that was before. That was when we were One for the Road.
Okay.
Whenever we made the switch, and then we were One Track Mind.
Okay.
And we had one real big gig, 104.1 out of Orlando's talk radio. Mm-hmm. But
Rare Radio.
Yeah.
Big fan of that, yeah.
The morning DJ at the time, her name was Melissa Fox.
Okay.
And she had seen us play over in Leesburg, and she asked if we would be on her float in the St. Patty's Day parade. And it was huge down there. They shut down Church Street and all this other. Anyway, so she put us on this huge flatbed with a ginormous generator. We hooked everything up and played. This is when the XFL was going on, the first XFL. Yep. And I guess, so the Monsters are right there in their boat. I guess a police officer or something had a heart attack. He's playing bagpipes at the beginning of the parade and had a heart attack or something. Wow. Didn't die, but it obviously delayed everything. So they came over and said, well, you guys start playing. So we just started doing one of our shows that we would do out, and all the XFL players came over, the cheerleaders, the Monsters got down, and so we're playing a show right there. It was a lot of fun. And the parade started. I was standing up on this big, tall speaker, and we made that turn around Church Street, and it's like 15 people deep on each side as far as you could see. And man, that was our rock star moment. That was a fun day.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I mean, that also just tells you that you never know. You need to be prepared at all times.
Yeah.
When if something happens, you got to be able to react.
Well, in that industry, it's the right place, right time. Who you know?
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many people I've heard they got their first start because somebody canceled, or they called and they said, "Oh, I guess." It's some like someone said George Strait got his call, like he was doing a rodeo. Somebody was in front of him was canceled, can't do it, and I think it was a Houston rodeo or Fort Worth, whatever it was, and he ended up playing, and they're like, "Wow, this guy's
You
good."
sound pretty good.
Yeah, but they would have never known him.
It's like the king of country now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Most number one hits ever, I think.
Absolutely. So that prepares that. That's a cool moment. That's a very cool moment.
It opened up the door for other gigs too.
Yeah.
Like we played the Florida Theater in Gainesville.
Yeah.
And what they didn't tell us is they were putting us in the lobby, and then there was like a Jay-Z after party in the main part. Mm-hmm. So there were like the people that went with us, like Jimmy's girlfriend and a couple of friends. That's what we played for. And then a bunch of like rap fans and stuff that didn't care about the rock and roll we were playing were walking by and just kind of looking like, what are these guys doing here? But we toughed it out and played a full set and tore down and came back to Hog County.
That's funny. I just saw Jeremy Cole recently at church, and I asked him, I said, talked about the podcast, and he said, what am I going to talk about, the band? I'm like, oh, I forgot you were in the band.
Yeah, Jeremy was a lot of fun. I was in his wedding up in Americus, Georgia, when him and Kylie got married.
Yeah.
And we became really good friends through the band.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a really great guy.
He's always been a good guy. But it's funny how you tend to forget stuff like that, those little things. Like when you just said, y'all had the band, and I was like, man, I remember that now. I remember that, a lot of fun. That Halloween party over at the Claytons, and one of the things that stuck out was the van.
Because the creeper van. It was like the van, looked like the van from Old School.
Yeah.
Whenever they're going around and
and abducting everybody,
the old guys, throwing them in.
He had everything but the pantyhose on the edge. Like,
it's go time.
Taking the groceries. Looking in the bag, like, what do you got? Some olives,
some cheese puffs.
So CFCC or CFC or whatever it's called now, and theater major. Did you do any plays or anything?
Oh yeah, a bunch.
Okay.
Taming the Shrew, I was Petruchio.
Okay.
Some Shakespeare.
Did you ever do like Hamlet or anything?
No, that was only Shakespeare we did. We would do one big performance every semester.
Gotcha.
Did a musical. Musicals weren't my deal. Singing and dancing and stuff. But we did one. Played Bull Run. We did, probably 8 different shows. That was a lot of fun as well.
Yeah.
So that ended in 2 years. I got my AA. Graduated like most distinguished theater major or something. Not that. And then that's when the band was going, so I didn't go to get my 4-year degree for a few more years. I was chasing that, waiting tables, bartending, and chasing that music dream until my GI Bill almost ran out. You have 10 years once you activate it to use that money.
Right.
And it was getting tight. It was getting close. Like, if I don't get my butt back into school, I'm going to lose this money. So our band ended up kind of breaking up for whatever reason. So I moved up to Tallahassee for a while. Worked up there and knocked out my foreign language. That's one thing. My goodness. And they told me about it, like counselors and everything. Like, if you want to go to you got to have this foreign language. So I screwed around in high school in Spanish and didn't study like I should have. Never got it. So I knocked those out up in Tallahassee, but that set me back. When I was ready to get in, I was like, oh crap, I didn't do that whole foreign language thing. Yeah. So that set me back. And that's what I did in Tallahassee. Was Bert Kreisler up there? Do you know who that is? Uh-oh. He's a comedian. He took Russian. Oh, nice.
He was at Florida State in the 90s.
Oh,
I know this is a little bit after you, but he took Russian 1, 2, 3, and 4, and he said He said Russian 4, they only speak in Russian. He goes, I didn't do anything. He said the teacher told him, I have to have a certain amount of kids in here or I can't have the class. So if you just come to class, I'll give you a C.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah. Right. So he said, okay. So he did that, and he said that's happened every year. He said Russian 4. He goes, they're speaking in Russian. He's like, it's like being in a foreign country and not knowing what's going on, and you're in class, But he ended up go over to Russia on a field trip, and he would throw out these it'd be like me throwing out some random Spanish, like my name is Pencil in Spanish or something. Yeah. Like, hey, my name is Pencil. Me llamo Lapis, and it's a funny story if you ever get a chance. But yeah, he said something about. I took all these classes and never did anything.
Didn't even know how to say hello.
Yeah, he goes, I can't even speak. Like, I can't even translate. I can't speak nothing. And so
But pass with a C.
Yeah, but exactly. He said, he's like, I'm out. Like, I'm getting out. And she's like, no. If you just stay, I gotta have this because she was working on her master's or something. She had to have this class.
Right.
If you stay, I'll give you a C. He goes,
it's a good deal.
He goes, all right, I'm back. I was out, but I'm back now.
How do you say okay in Russian?
He goes, I'm back. I can't turn that down. So, what foreign languages did you learn? Spanish? Just Spanish? Okay.
Knocked those 2 classes out at TCC and then got into another band.
Yeah.
Up there, I was playing bass for a band called Preacher's Kid, and then I was doing an acoustic show with another buddy that I met up there through friends here.
Was it Alice Cooper?
Yeah, no.
Preacher's Kid?
Yeah.
School's out, guys.
That guy's name was Rick, I think, but
that's cool.
Was doing an acoustic show with a guy named Tom Garnett.
Okay. And
we played around different restaurants and bars up there.
Yeah.
I was living with Jamie Miklos. You remember Jamie?
I do.
So Jamie was up there. Kirk Henderson was up there for Mikey, of course.
Gotcha.
So I would go up and visit them a lot and stay in.
What a group of guys there.
I don't know how they did any studying.
You're talking about old school. That's like old school cast.
That's a fun group of that's some of the best friends in the world too. Yeah, but I don't know how they did anything in school.
Great guys.
Yeah. So that's actually the only schooling I did up there, and ended up coming back for a year or so. Trying to figure out where I wanted to go for my 4 years, and I ended up moving down to Fort Lauderdale. Jamie Miklos is down there now.
Okay.
Him and his now wife Jenny. So I asked them if I could move in with them again.
Yeah.
And I did. So they rented me out a room for 2 years, and that's when I started at FAU. Finished my 4 years there. Multimedia journalism.
Okay.
Was my major, but there's not too many news stations here in Bushnell. CBS Sumter is not around, so
VNN we had back in the day.
Wasn't going anywhere close to that place.
No, I get it, but I mean, tell me a few differences like Florida State and FAU. I mean, obviously Florida State's much bigger, but FAU's kind of more spread out, and
it just seemed more laid back in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
You know, Tallahassee's not a big town.
No, it's not.
If you take those 2 universities and the state capital out, it's country like around here.
Very rural area.
Yeah. I loved Tallahassee. I loved it a little too much, so that's why I came back.
Yeah.
And this isn't everybody down there, so I'm not trying to totally generalize everybody of Boca. I've just always been the kind of person, if I make eye contact with someone, I'm gonna say, hey, good morning or hello.
Yeah.
And I would do that down there on campus, and they'd look at me like I had 2 heads or something. Yeah. Some of them like, what kind of place am I at here?
Yeah.
But it was beautiful down there. The beaches are gorgeous, and and found myself being a better student than I ever had. I always had that potential, but I finally went at it 100%.
Right.
Made straight A's, ended up graduating with honors, and worked for the Marlins and the Dolphins down there.
That's cool.
I worked for the stadium, actually.
Gotcha.
but all the Marlins games, all the Dolphins games.
Right.
Got to work a Super Bowl.
Very cool.
I was on the field for an Orange Bowl, Penn State and Florida State.
Okay.
That was pretty awesome.
That was cool.
Yeah, those were really good times.
That's awesome that you got to do that, and it's your team that's playing.
It was one of my professors actually got me the job as a TV broadcasting class.
What station did you work for? Or was it like an internship, or did you do?
No, it was actually in-game entertainment for Dolphin Stadium.
Oh, okay.
So every event that came through,
Gotcha. Okay,
I was running camera for the stadium.
Okay, very nice.
It was awesome. $25 an hour. I'm like,
oh wow,
I would have done this for free.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And then just surrounding yourself in that experience is really cool. Just being there, like you said, you do it for free.
Well, that's when that's how I was studying for multimedia journalism. I was like, wow, I really would love to be like an anchor or reporter.
Yeah.
And then he got me the job there at the stadium. They needed cameramen. I'm like, I've never done this before.
Yeah.
It's like, it don't matter. They gave me the job, and I would have loved to have done that for a living. But the problem is, you've got 81 home baseball games. You've only got like 10 with the 2 preseason back there, then 8 home football games.
Yeah.
So you're only talking like 90 something days. Well, you can't live off that. A lot of those guys in that industry, like freelance,
retired, or travel.
Yeah. And I'm just not a city guy.
Yeah.
So once I got that degree, I was ready to get back home. But
I think I've told you this before, but a buddy of mine I worked with at Disney. He was the organist, Richard, in Miami
for the Marlins games. So I had to have met him.
Yeah. I feel bad because I can't remember his last name. Because at Disney, everybody's first name basis,
right?
Unless you had you worked with 4 Billies, and then they knew Billy Goblay,
right?
But Richard, I can't think of his last name, but really great guy, but heck of a dude. He could do anything.
Yeah,
he was.
I saw the room that guy worked out of.
Yeah, great guy, great musician. He was in this. It was funny because we had these 2 guys. 2 other guys that worked with us, and one was Harry, and Harry had this huge huge gut. He was like one of these old New Yorker guy, but got the almost like the Friar Tuck haircut. Really, really cool, down to earth guy. But you could tell he's a musician. He was like, hey man, keep it cool, baby. Like one of those like an old hippie, old walrus guy, And him and Richard, I think they were in a band together. But Harry was telling me I asked Harry one time, so what, where he was from Chicago. I think he was from Chicago, not New York. I'm sorry. So he's like, yeah, I was playing in this bar. You remember the old chicken wire and stuff? He's like a roadhouse.
Yeah.
So he said he was in there, and he comes inside. There's a guy laying on the bar, he was sitting there at the bar, and he's leaned over. He's got a knife sticking out of his back.
Oh, nice!
Someone just came and shanked him. I'm like, oh my god! You come from this area where you might have something happen every 5 years, something like that. To the extreme,
right?
And I'm going and I'm hearing stories like one guy worked for the mob, and this guy was from Chicago, not Richard or Harry, but somebody else, and then they did this. One guy, I remember bringing a suitcase or a briefcase I was chained to it. I didn't know if there was an arm inside or a payoff, or I'm like, what is going on?
Right out of Pulp Fiction.
You open it up and the light comes on,
the golden glow.
Is that his soul or something?
Marcellus Wallace's soul is the rumor.
The rumor.
I think Tarantino ever
Nobody
said.
ever will say it. Yeah. But I don't know where I was getting with that, but anyways, yeah. But Richard was a cool guy. Those old school guys are really, really. I mean,
oh yeah,
and they find the most interesting people to do it. Like I said, if you could sit down, I mean, those guys had some stories, man. Golly, they were just sitting there. And I'm like, at the time I'm 20, 25, 26 years old, and I'm just wide eyed, like somebody's telling a ghost story. I'm like, oh my gosh!
But I love that.
Yeah,
I can listen to old timers talk.
Oh yeah, me too.
Nonstop, because that's how you learn stuff.
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
different world, and I love hearing people's life stories and stuff like that. But that was a good time working for that stadium. That some stuff that I, would have never. It's like actually, like for the Marlins games, I'd come through their dugout. So I'm sitting there. Jack McKeon was the manager at the time. I finally got comfortable enough where I'd have my camera and the wires and stuff, and I'd sit down on their bench and watch pregame and stuff.
That's cool.
And Jack McKeon's always smoking a big stogie, and he was talking to me one day. It was really neat. On the field for the Super Bowl, that was something else. Yeah. That's something that, I would have never had that opportunity. Probably one of the best days of my life was working that Super Bowl.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Webster Ace Hardware and Farm Supply are generous sponsors for today's podcast. They have been a family-owned business for 27 years. This helpful hardware store sells items such as archery, Ariat clothing and boots, Wrangler jeans, case knives, Hammond's candies, and live fishing wear. They also have a full selection of hardware, RV supply, propane, Ben Moore, Royal & Clark, and Kingston paints. You need a barn or fencing job done? Custom barn kits and roofing metal are provided at your local Ace Hardware store. What about a new grill for the yard? Traeger, Big Green Egg, Weber, and Blackstone are found here, along with all the accessories to go with them. Stock up your workshop with DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Craftsman tools. They got you covered. Remember to go to ace.com to shop their entire line to have items shipped directly to the store. And that was the Colts and Bears game down
and it rained. It rained the whole game.
It seemed like the whole weekend. It was just a wet weekend, like one of those.
And this was actually, because this was my first year teaching. Mm-hmm. So I was already back in Sumter, but I kept working the Dolphin game, so I would have the opportunity in January or February, I think. It was February 3rd, to get to work the Super Bowl. I knew that this was a once in a lifetime.
Oh yeah.
But you said it's a wet weekend. That was remember the Groundhog Day tornadoes that came through Daytona?
That's right.
That was that storm, because I set my alarm for like 2 a.m. because I wanted to get ahead of that front. Yeah. That was coming. And then, because I'm listening to the radio, like all heck's breaking loose in Daytona behind me. I'm like, wow. Right. So that was that front that came through that rained the Super Bowl out. Not rained it out.
Before you go any further in the Super Bowl, go back to the Marlins. What year was that when you started with the Marlins?
05, 06.
Okay, so it was after that second championship year.
Yeah.
And 03.
03. Yeah, they won 97 and 03.
I was hoping you'd be down there with Jim Leland, but that was 97. No. You were still in the Army.
I was in the Army whenever Craig Counsell hit that dribbler. Actually, no, Counsell scored the winning run that year at Renteria, I think. But I was stationed with one other guy from Miami. We were the only Floridians. Oh, wow. And I went nuts, and I ran outside just screaming.
That was when they had Moses Alou and
they had Bobby Bonilla. They had a loaded team that year.
Hey, Bobby Bonilla is still getting paid, by the way.
Yeah, the Mets every July 1st or something.
Every July 1st is Bobby Bonilla Day, and it's like 1 point something million, and
until like 2040 or something.
Yeah, it's like he's got like 10, 15 more years on that contract.
Where do you get one of those deals?
Sign me up, bro.
You aren't kidding.
He gives he buys his agent a new car every year. He buys him a new Corvette or a Ferrari or something like that every year or something like that.
Who needs that many cars?
I know. I'm like, dang, dude.
Who's his agent? Jay Leno? Leno's got like a huge.
Leno's got got 2 garages full.
Wow. There's
a guy like that in Clearwater Beach. I just saw that Labor Day weekend. We went to dinner, and there was a guy. Kid you not? He's got. Remember in the I don't remember which one it was. Fast and Furious. They had the cars jacked up on these hydraulic lifts, and then they all just came out at one time. I think it was the second or third.
I've never made it through one of those movies.
They had all these cars jacked up. They looked like nobody was there, and then they did like a street raid where they knew the cops were coming, so they put all these cars, and it was a decoy. They're trying to figure out who. They're like, oh, well, they're after one of the guys. They don't know who it is because they're all. It's like the Fumaruski. You don't know where the ball's at. Right. You know? So this house has 2 hydraulic lifts in there and come down and. Oh, my wire's buzzing a little bit. So there's got to be like at least 8 cars in this garage, and they were all like, they look like Ferraris to me. Nicole thought they were all vets, but he might have had a few vets, but I saw a couple Ferraris. I'm like, good God.
And one a year. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So that Super Bowl, you talking about going back from Seattle being wet, and that Super Bowl, ironically, was one of the. Well, actually, that year and the year I think New York hosted the Super Bowl, it rained too. So it's like one of the. Those are the only 2 Super Bowls that I remember watching. That was like, oh my gosh!
I think that's why the NFL either picks domes or southern cities.
Southern cities, right?
So, because you're talking January, February every year.
Yep.
So yeah, let's pick Miami that year, and then here comes a cold front.
Yeah,
it rained the whole game.
Oh yeah. So tell us a little bit about that game. What do you remember?
My goodness. Billy Joel sang the national anthem.
Okay.
So, and I was working the Bears sideline, the north end zone, and that's where I was pretty much the whole game. Mm-hmm. So after Billy Joel played the national anthem, and I still have this picture at the house. I asked him if I could get a picture with him. This is before these phones, so there's a digital camera. But
yeah.
And I love 80s music, so I know who Billy Joel was. I had no idea, though. He's like 5'4" or something. He's tiny.
It's like a hobbit.
He's not even my shoulder.
Yeah.
I got a picture with him, met him. That was pretty cool.
That's why I didn't work out with Uptown Girl. It would never work with her. She was too tall for him.
That was the up, wasn't it?
Literally.
Was
that Christina Brinkley?
Yeah, he ended up marrying her.
Yeah, that's right. They were dating.
Yeah.
Then you got married.
So yeah, had that.
Billy Joel.
That was pretty funny. The halftime show was Prince, and probably one of the best halftime shows ever. And we didn't have to work it, so I actually got to stay on the field for it. And he's doing a lot of his classics. He did a Foo Fighters song, "The Best of."
Oh, okay.
"The Best of You."
Yeah.
And then, like I said, "It's Raining." The very last song, he hits that opening note, whatever it is, of "Purple Rain,"
right?
And they boom around the whole stadium, hit purple lights, so you could see "Purple Rain" as he's singing it. Cool. It was awesome. So the halftime show was really cool.
I think it's ironic that you're a big '80s fan, and that was
Billy Joel and Prince.
That was the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Also, while I was actually working, my producer got over the headset and said, "Marcus, I need you to look behind you. There's a door down beneath section whatever." So I found it, and he's like, "Take you and your grip back there, and you need to white balance your camera." And that's kind of getting it focused.
Right.
So I walk through these doors, and there's 2 guys standing there with white gloves on, holding the Lombardi trophy. I'm like, oh, wow. He says, all right, you're going to be here for about 10 minutes, but get ready. This is going to be the biggest shot you've ever done.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, what do you mean? It's just stadium. He's like, no, CBS is taking your shot, but it's going to be like 10 minutes. And it's only like 3-second shot, but that was pretty. I got a picture with the Lombardi trophy while I was waiting. Got the camera in one hand. And
that's cool. That's a big to do.
Oh, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like whenever, and I wasn't nervous until he told me that. So then my shots, I'm sure it wasn't that bad.
He what was it on Blazing Saddles? He's like, steady hand. He's like, and this is the hand I shoot with.
Right. That was about right. If he wouldn't have said that, I would have been fine. But that was pretty neat. Another story from the Super Bowl, I didn't have to work the fourth quarter, at least the second half of the fourth quarter or something. So I went down to the other end zone with another one of our camera guys. He was still working, but he was a buddy of mine. So he's like, I'm standing there just talking. Now I'm watching some of the game.
Right.
He's like, dude, look right there. Like 5 feet away from us is Jim Belushi on the Bears sideline.
Yeah. Big Bears fan.
He's a huge Bears fan. Anyway, he's got CBS gear on. He's got a CBS vest. Well, as soon as Mario told me that, Jim Belushi turned around and went, shh, like that. Well, like the next commercial, a few minutes later, he kind of eases back, like steps back, and he was gripping for a cameraman.
Yeah.
What he had done is paid some CBS guy for his credentials, but still had to go work because he paid a grip.
He's out there dragging.
He is. He literally was dragging wires for a CBS camera. This is before totally remote cameras. But he sat there and talked to me for probably about 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
One of the coolest celebrities I've ever met. Just out of the blue, he took a picture with me. Was asking questions like, "What you studying in college?" That stuff.
Yeah.
He was just a really cool guy. That was pretty neat. So that whole Super Bowl experience. I mean, all this happened in a matter of 5 hours.
Wow.
And just an amazing day. Yeah.
Thanks for watching part 1 of this 2-part segment. Stay tuned for part 2.